Human beings are made to be makers. God is a maker, He's a creator, and He makes man in His own image after His own likeness in order to make things that are new in the world, to make things that glorify and enhance the world, to make things that are artistically made, not just for the sake of function in order to survive, but things that are delightful and things that adorn the creation. But the first time we see human beings making anything, the first time that verb is used in Genesis of human beings, it's when Adam and Eve make fig leaf aprons after Adam and Eve's sin. Those fig leaf aprons are the first human artifact. They're the first piece of human technology. And that those fig leaf aprons separate Adam and Eve from one another. They were naked and not ashamed at the end of Genesis 2, and now they're ashamed in one another's presence. So the fig leaf aprons are to separate them, they separate them from one another. But the intended design is to separate them from God. We realized that we were naked. We ate the fruit of the tree, Adam says. We realized that we were naked. And so we made these aprons so that we aren't appearing naked in the presence of God. That's a fateful moment, of course, in the history of humanity, because from that point on, over the next several chapters of Genesis, we have a series of mismakings. Human beings continue to show the same creativity that they were created to show. They continue to make things. They continue to bring new things into being. They continue to be artists, but they use their artistry and their creativity for destructive purposes. Cain builds a city, but it's a city built on the blood of his brother. The descendants of Cain are the ones who organize, invent metallurgy, the ones who organize animal husbandry. They're the ones that invent music. But we're not told much about the music that they produce, but you can be sure that that music is not used to honor and glorify God. So human beings are damaged, and damaged particularly in the way they make things, because we mismake things and make things badly. That that reflects back on us and remakes us in an evil way. So what Jesus does in coming to redeem us is to restore us to genuine making. And He does that by imitating Noah, the first godly maker in the Bible. Adam and Eve are the first makers. The first time we have a human being that makes according to God's word, makes according to a pattern that's revealed to him, is Noah when he constructs the ark. Noah the carpenter is the first true maker in human history, and he foreshadows, of course, the true carpenter, the carpenter of Nazareth, Jesus Christ, who builds the world, who builds His church as an ark, and He does it by following the pattern that His Father had given Him. And as we think about what that means, there's a couple of things I want to highlight. How is it that Jesus remakes humanity so that human beings can be remade? One thing is he makes humanity according to the pattern, according to the heavenly pattern. Moses sees a heavenly pattern on the mountain and he replicates it in the tabernacle. David receives a pattern, a tabnet in the Hebrew word. He receives a pattern that's replicated in the temple. In Jesus' case, He Himself is the Word. He Himself is the pattern. And so He comes into the world and He lives out that pattern, that heavenly pattern on earth. He lives a heavenly life. He lives a divine life, but in human terms. His life is scripted by the pattern that was given to Him in the Scriptures. And by living out that scripted life, He's beginning to remake humanity. And in His death and resurrection, which is in obedience to His Father, His death and resurrection, which is according to the pattern, He's remaking humanity according to the pattern that His Father gave Him. And we see that continue into the book of Acts. It's not just Jesus whose life is scripted by the heavenly pattern. But once Jesus has lived out His life according to a heavenly pattern, that heavenly pattern is replicated in His disciples. The Spirit falls on the disciples, and over again in the book of Acts, we see Peter and Stephen and Paul and other leaders of the early church whose lives are conformed to the pattern. And that principle holds for all believers individually and for the church as a whole. The church as a whole is being remade. Jesus, the carpenter of Nazareth, is reconstructing us, and He's reconstructing us according to the heavenly pattern, which He Himself is. One of the central things that is kind of at the heart of this remaking of humanity is the restoration of the unity of humanity that was damaged and disrupted at the Tower of Babel. Jesus comes in order to break down the dividing wall between Jews and Gentiles. He comes to construct a humanity that includes people from every tribe and tongue and nation. Jesus, the carpenter of Nazareth, is building a humanity according to the heavenly pattern, and he's building a new humanity, one new man after the fragments of the old humanity.